Durag Diaries. Yo, what's good, people? Welcome. Emergency meeting settings. We have a call-in show. We have a call-in show for the people, them. You know, they've been asking for it. It's been meaning to be happening, been meaning to set things up, but I felt there was no better time to start than today. Today of all days, the weekend where things go absolutely left. We're out of all the competitions, people. We are out of all the competitions, and it's well and truly over for us. I mean, I'm sitting here with less than pretty much near to no hope. Europa League, I know I've said that I feel confident we can win it, but after seeing the mentality and the way that we've gone out in these last two competitions, you can only imagine how I feel. This team hasn't given me much to work with regards to them doing anything here. So yeah, man, look, Spurs. Things over these sides ain't good. But today's not about me. I'll be real, I've had my rants. If you haven't already seen, go watch my match reaction for the Villa game. That one's probably going to be an all-timer. People loved it. It's already on 1.2k views. I'm like, how? None of my videos get this, but Spurs lose, Jords crashes out. What happens? They want to see it. So I'll put the link in the chat for that if you guys want to go view that, the match reaction. And then I suppose outside of that, you saw me on Saeed TV, Never a Foul, and all these places earlier on the North Divide show where we had my essay on Ange and how I feel about him. Big up to my guy Jay, first man in the building. How you doing, Jords? You're finally on the Ange out train. Yeah, man. I'm at the station, innit? I'm at the station waiting for my point to jump on because apparently a few people told me my ticket was invalid. They said my ticket was invalid, so still waiting for my train. Doesn't look like there's one turning up anytime soon, but I am most definitely gonna be hopping on it as soon as it does arrive. I'll make that very clear because I've seen enough. The manager is tactically just out of his depth. He's not ready. He's not ready to grasp the Premier League. He's just not ready to make the right changes in games to be relied upon. And I just don't think that he's ready to take Spurs or get the best out of these players where we're going to go. Because ultimately, look, the battle right now is, do you get rid of Levy or do you get rid of Ange? I mean, I know where I would go to first, but we know that ain't happening. So you have to go to the next option. And you have to get rid of Ange to start the new process for a new manager to come in. And, you know, we're going to have a new manager bounce. We're going to look good. Don't get me wrong, people. We're going to look good for a little bit. And then the same old Spurs is going to seep right back in because that's just who we are, mate. It's who we are. We're just going to be this way under this tutelage of Daniel Levy and co. So, yeah, man, big up to E. I heard your Ange out now, bro. Come in and have your say. That's what I will say. E, look, you see the StreamYard link is in the chat. Pull up, people. Come and have your say. All right, we got our first caller. Guy that's been meaning to come onto the channel for some time. But Eugene, how are you doing, man? How you doing, brother?
What's up, Jords? I'm all right, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, not great.
Yeah,
not great. I'll be honest.
It's rough. Remember when I talked to you last time? I said, you know what? I've been engine for this whole season, but after the last 3 games, I'm out. And you were like, well, I'm still, you still had hope. But, man, I've been,
It was one of those things where I sort of thought going into these games, if we can show that grit and determination to get through, like that shows and just getting something out of these players. If he shows mentality-wise that they can turn, because we've seen big games have turned up this season. So I thought, Liverpool way, you don't expect to win, but if they can just show the grit to get through that and then get through an Aston Villa, who aren't the best team, but they're pretty decent this season, I thought that would show me this manager's really building something here. But the way we went out without fighting, man, what did you think of it? What did you think? What was, I suppose, just to take it right back for people that don't know, what was the moment of when you turned Ange out and you said, I can't take it no more?
I think it was after Everton. And then Leicester, I was like, you know what? I know that he's been done. No, he's been thrown under the bus by this board. I know the
Yeah.
players are not good enough, but ultimately, as a manager, he needs to take responsibility. For me, it's not even the tactics, and I've been saying it on like every stream I've been on, but it's not even about tactics for me. It's his squad management and it's the injuries, like not including Spence in the Europa squad, not rotating early. And then with the injuries, we know last season or even at Celtic,
Yeah.
the way Ange plays and the way he trains will never be fully fit. And if we were like Chelsea, where we spend $1 billion on 50 players and we're super deep, cool. That's one thing. But we're so thin, we don't have enough players to play on 4 different fronts. So we'll never be fit for him. So at this point, it's just not feasible. He's got to go. However, when I was watching Liverpool game, my anger wasn't that we lost because I expected a loss. It was just how gutless the players were.
Yes.
And when I see that, yes, some of it might be on the manager, but if the players don't respect themselves, they're not playing for each other and for the badge. I don't care who the manager is; those players are not good enough. And we've seen this, for the past 7, 8 years, even before that.
Seen this for a long time.
Players been doubting tools, and that's fine for this club. The culture of mediocrity is set from top down. The board is okay with us being the mediocre, on the pitch, on the recruiting side, on the medical side. We're okay being average. I can tell you that no self-respecting team, no big club. If you look at Pep, for example, if Pep would see players downing tools like that, they'd be gone right away.
Yeah.
No self-respecting manager would tolerate players doubting tools. Right? Even if they're not playing for the manager, be professional, have some self-respect. The way Bissouma played, like our midfield, when I saw that midfield against Liverpool, I'm like, you know what? I don't like Bissouma, but Ange is going defensive. I think we should be okay in the midfield.
Yeah.
The way they cut through us and Bissouma again with that pass, the same pass that cost us against Arsenal, the same mistake he's making again and again. Bentancur, who I rate, but he's been terrible. Sarr, not good enough. These our kids are showing more bravery and passion than senior players.
Yeah.
So when I see that, I don't care who the manager is. I don't care if he's going to be sacked, which he probably should be. I don't care about the tactics. When the senior players are scared to play, when they're all passengers, all our players are passengers. We need some bus drivers. Like, we have nobody. When our captain is pulling out of 50-50 tackles, when our captain is pouting and crying, like, what are we doing here? So I wish it was as simple as sack Ange and we're good, or, get rid of this. It's top down. It's just, I don't see any hope, man, at this point. It's depressing.
Yeah, no, I think it's just like you pointed out there. For me, the Liverpool game, I think just to clarify to everyone, what pushed me to Ange out eventually was the manner in which we lost the Liverpool and Aston Villa games and the way that we approached them. And like you say, just the lack of fight from the players, the mentality just being an issue. I look at players like Sonny, who's been around, and I know I was getting onto him earlier, but it's rightfully so. He's been around through all of these catastrophic failures, quite frankly, because the last 10 years has just been Spurs failing after failing after failing, building you up so much to think that Spurs are finally going to do something just to not do it, because these players in the key moments when they're supposed to get you through a cup tie, I take it back to even the Champions League tie against Juventus, like they didn't have the right mentality then. Dynamo Zagreb 2-0 up away from home, Jose Mourinho. They showed no mentality there. So it's not like this is just a one-time. It's reoccurring throughout the last 10 years where these players, I don't want to say all of them because this is quite a new squad, but the senior players at that are the ones that are just not showing up for us, not giving enough. And it looked the exact same thing on the weekend. When you pointed out Bissouma and Bentancur, these are two players that, for one, Bissouma, I think, bro, he's all but finished by now. I remember Conte pointing out that he was the one player struggling tactically to keep up with the rest. So if he's struggling tactically, that already tells you football IQ, it's not there. It's not in the right position. So he's continuing to play him in the 6, knowing the amount of bad decisions he makes. But I agree with you. Going into the game, I said we should start him because you'd think playing a more defensive formation, he's going to be covered a bit more. He might make smarter decisions because players are going to be closer to him. We're not going to be bombing forward. So he's not being tasked with, trying to dribble through the midfield or play through the lines. It's going to be a lot easier. Your role's reduced. But even then, he's just making stupid mistakes, doing stupid things, and it's just costing us. It just costs us time and time again. And then this, like you say, this performance against Aston Villa, I just looked at it and I was like, Ange really isn't doing anything here to like change it. And the substitutions he makes is, I'm gonna bring on Bissouma at halftime.
His options are limited, right? But on the other hand, man, if I was Ange, I'd be like, you know what? I'm just gonna play all kids. I'll play whoever wants to play. And if you sack me for doing it, sack me. But I'm not gonna just play same old players because of their name only. I'm gonna play who wants to play. And yeah, and Son, man, it's so hard to see. I love Son, he's a legend. But how many games has he cost us missing those sitters? Like that sitter that he missed for him, for his whole career, 100% of the time he's putting it away. But this season he's keep missing those sitters and tap-ins, game in, game out. It's just painful to watch. Bissouma, I can't watch him play anymore. Madison, I'm sick of watching him roll on the pitch and hold his ankle. I don't care. Like our scouting, I don't know what's going on, but they cannot scout mentality. I know it's tough, but we've been bringing in players who have all the skills in the world, but their mentality is lacking completely. Bissouma has the skills, Madison has the skills, but the difference between an okay player and a very good player is consistency. And Bissouma, I know he can take on his man. I know he can beat the press. I know he can push the ball, but he does it in one game out of 5 or 6. Bergvall makes mistakes, but at least Bergvall consistently tries to do it. He plays brave.
Yeah.
And I want to see bravery. Like, I'm so tired of these players just hiding and not wanting the ball. Just get him out.
That's why I was so frustrated when, for literally the moment of when I was like, Ange lost his mind.
Yeah.
Is when he took off Mikey Moore. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. Sonny's dying out there in the middle, let alone on the wing. Whenever you put him on the wing, he's always dying, unless he's playing against these bloody farmers in Europa League. Yeah, he looked great against them, but when he comes up against
Sweden,
and the funniest thing is, in that game, he looked like he was so confident with himself. He was like, I'm gonna keep trying. But where has that all gone when it comes to the Premier League? Like, he didn't even bother. So I was looking, I was like, no. There's no way you're taking off Mikey Moore, who can beat his man comfortably. And like you said, the one thing, he shows the fearlessness. He shows fearlessness in the games he's going to cut in, he's going to put a ball in the box, he's going to shoot. Even Jed Spence is the thing he does so well. I think Jed Spence, the one thing I've pointed him out is I can tell he's not listening to Ange all the time. He's just saying, bro, whatever you're saying, I don't care. I'm an overlap because the overlap's the right decision here. Like, the arrogance to just make that own decisions. But it goes back to what you said of trying to scout players for their mentality. One thing is Ange has consistently said is, I'm trying to bring players in with the right mentality, with the right thing. But clearly he's got that wrong. He's definitely got that wrong, because Maddison, Brennan Johnson, these players' heads go down one moment at the literally as soon as you see adversity. Son, these are players that heads go down. They have no belief in themselves. Bissouma's one of them too. Like, all of our senior players, their heads go down. The only one that can hold their head up high consistently is Kulusevski, because no matter what, he's trying till 91st, 92nd minute. But outside of that, you're really lacking to find some real leaders, some real guys with proper mentality in the team. But let me quickly go to the chat. Big up to my brother, Hyper Protagonist, man. Always stayed locked in. Smash the like button, people. Subscribe or go home. You don't have to go home if you ain't subscribed, but show some love and subscribe, man. Show some love. James Y Paratrooper. Biggest mistake Ange made was not using Spence and Reguilon. I don't think Reguilon's a mistake. He still doesn't get used because he's a bum. He's an absolute bum. But Spence, most definitely, he's reaping the rewards of that. Touchline, I know you're in the background. We're gonna come to you. Jay Spurs, I'll be real. I don't know. He don't just use the academy players and just vibe the season out. It would remove the pressure off his back. Exactly, you see it. Surely the academy has a DM somewhere, midfielder somewhere that can come in. We actually don't. If you look at the academy, we don't have no. I've looked. I'm sure Eugene have. We've looked. The profile's just not there. We don't have that 6 profile in the academy. We've got like a Tyrese Hall he covers all midfield roles, but he's really good. But there's no role where he actually shines, and that's why I don't feel like he's got that push into the first team. He's probably needs to go and play some time in the championship or so. And outside of that, I'm trying to think. You got Callum
Archie Gray.
And Archie Gray. That's it. And Archie Gray's a centre back in the senior team.
Yeah, exactly. So. Dude, I'm gonna lose my shit like with Ange completely. If when Udogie comes back, if I see Spence on the bench, I don't care who sits, but Spence has to start instead of Udogie or Porro.
Definitely,
for me,
yes.
Yeah, I know that mentality. Like there were some issues. Contest said the same thing, and now Ange that Spence's head wasn't in it. But I don't care. He's a starter. Sit Udogie, sit Porro. I want Spence to play. And yeah, Mikey Moore has to play. Yeah, and Archie Gray, if the center backs return and Archie Gray is on the bench again or plays on the right, left, center, he has to play at the 6. Again, given where we are right now, I would just play all kids. And I better see Porro somewhere left, right, and I want to see Archie Gray at the 6. I don't care at this point. If I see Bissouma play again, when we can, instead of Gray or Bergvall, I'm just gonna completely lose my shit. Like, it's unacceptable.
No, it's understandable. It's understandable, man. I mean, yeah, we definitely need to make some changes to this lineup. But big up to E for checking in. I'm not even going to ask how are you if you're good, because I know you're not. I know you're not. I saw you were going to take a break, but I know it's hard, man. When you have to have your say. Everyone has to have it. It's hard. Like, you want to take a break, but at the same time, you're like, I need to cook this food. I need to cook. So, E, man, how are you feeling after yesterday?
I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch the game. I went on my phone at 5:35 to check the lineups, and we were 1-0 down. I turned my phone off then and there, bro. I turned my phone off. Yeah, bro, it's peak. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, the season's done, innit? Not much else to say. Season's done. We have to accept it, innit? I don't know. I'm just like lost for words, because what else are we? What do we say that hasn't been said? You know what I'm saying, about this owner, about Lange, about the manager. I guess is a conflict of interest or a conflicting point at this point, but even so, bro, like, everyone's already said everything there is to say. So I'm just here, man. I can't lie. He sent a bat signal, so I'm here, pretty much. You know what I'm saying?
But apparently there is some good news to potentially come out, because I don't know if the people did see the first group of injured players are due back. We might free of some injuries. As Andrew
Romero. That fraud, like, either we should change our kids to white and baby blue or just ship him out, because I bet you international break he's going to be playing for Argentina.
He's going to play.
And then he's going to get hurt and not play for us. I used to love Romero, and I saw you on Jacobs. Big up to you. I like it takes, but, me and Jacob, we were, big Romero fans. But, man, that guy, for an international World Cup winner, not only he cannot organize our back line, not only he's making silly mistakes, but he is completely, like, I don't know what happened to him. He's just probably waiting to play for Argentina again, but makes me...
It's the Argentina and Tottenham thing, man. We see it. Lo Celso and Lamela is the same thing. And then the infamous Di Maria quote, imagine trying your hardest and finding out your link to Tottenham, bro. It's every Argentine has had that poster of that quote just on their wall. Like, if you go to Tottenham, you do not have to play for us. You can just stay fit for Argentina.
No, it is, yeah.
That's what these men are doing, bro.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw out the fact that Romero's not fit, because I think obviously he was only pictured back in training. It was like 2 to 3 weeks ago. And I think maybe off the back of him re-injuring himself last time, it might have been taking some time. But I know whenever it's been mentioned, apparently there's been further complications. So just like you guys, I've been a huge fan of Romero. Like Rolly Romero, Rolls Royce Romero. I had all the nicknames for him, bro. I used to run up and say Saliba versus Romero. Are you mad? This is Romero. I used to say all the things you want, but I do think that he definitely loves his country more than the club. And he probably will see him in the international break in a month's time. But I would hope that if he gets cleared to get called up, that he definitely has played a game in a Spurs shirt beforehand, because otherwise that he's taking the mick.
He's taking the piss.
But the players that are due back, confirm for you guys, if the people that haven't seen inside, we've got Vicario, Udogie, Maddison, Brennan Johnson, and Odebert, who are due back potentially before the Manchester United game. So that's 5 senior players returning. To be fair, I'm pretty sure Ange said they were returning last week. So whether you can believe this or not, don't take my word for it. How do you guys feel about that? Is that something to be positive about, or do you think that going into this United game is still not much of a boost?
I mean, the Man U game, they're as terrible as us. I mean, there's no excuse for not winning. They're shocking, but the reinforcements might help us in Europe. But again, I just don't see, I see us having the same fitness issues all year long. They're going to come back. Somebody else is going to get hurt. Poirot is about to blow something, and Kulu, Udogie, and with Udogie, once the hemis go, as we saw with Van der Ven or Reece James or many other examples, unfortunately, I think it might be a recurring injury. So I'm hoping it's going to help us in Europe, but I doubt that we're going to, pick up any form. I think it's going to be an issue all year long.
What about you?
Pretty much agree. I mean, all the teams that we played early in the season, we were fresher and had less injuries. So we've seen it against Villa, seen it against teams that we played twice, Arsenal. Like we just don't have the players right now, and we're even more tired as a team, innit? So I don't see the performances improving, and I don't see where the goals are coming from. But I can see where the goals will be conceded from. So as long as that's the combo for us, then we're not going to win games, bro. That's all it is, man.
You know what? On
It's so crazy. No, sorry, it's just so crazy. Like, our defensive shape is a joke. Like, every game, like, hey, Poro starting, like, I know exactly how the teams are going to attack us. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if we play the high line, I'm like, cool, there are gaps. How can we play low block against Liverpool and still be so wide open? It makes no sense to me. How is that even possible? It's a joke.
It's so bad. Oh, look, we do have a Man United fan in the background because they want to have their say on Spurs. And we can't deny them. We don't. It's a call-in show. We don't deny no one their say. But
facts.
Touchline, you've just heard the names of the players that are coming back. Does that? I mean, what does that do for you as a United fan? Are you feeling a bit scared? A Wilson Odebert, James Maddison, Tottenham's left back, and our main goalkeeper coming back, or are you still confident going into that game?
Yeah, Matt.
I'm
shivering. I can't lie. Like, I'm really shivering playing. The thought of playing Spurs is it's like playing Barcelona in 2011 again. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
you've conceded 7 against us this season, so I mean,
yeah, but we did rock up to your ground with Lindelof, Anthony, Ericsson. Do you get what I'm saying? Bayenda in goal, so that probably did have a part to play in it. And then the other 10 architects, and you were a much better team at the start of the season because you were actually in the top 10 though at the start of the season. You were like 8th or 7th when you played us at that time. Yeah,
that's how bad we are as a club.
The 3-0 games, you were a much better team at the start of the season than you are now. Do you get what I'm saying? And just completely lost the dressing room. And yeah, there's one thing I can count on Ugarte doing is roughing up Maddison. So Maddison, if he does play, he's probably going to get injured straight away again because Ugarte will just leave something in him. So yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not saying we're going to win, but if Man United, it depends. If the starting 11's right, if he gets the starting 11 right, I think we'll beat them. Spurs are not a good team at all.
Fair enough. Fair enough. If you feel that way, I mean, not many Spurs fans are going to battle you with that one at the moment, and certainly today is not the day for Man United Tottenham preview. Anyway, so I'll get to that later on in the week, and you'll see my confidence close to the game. Closer to the game, we're gonna have
I
enough
saw your
words. I might
confidence
try to
today
line up a
on
big
Midday
video
Live.
for that. So everyone watching, I might be able to. You might see a big one for that, a big preview for that one. So keep an eye out. But bringing it back to Spurs and just where we're at right now, a touchline. What do you think of the situation with the manager? Do you think that Ange should be like on from a non-biased perspective? Because obviously you're going to look at it and say you want to keep Ange because if he's bringing Spurs down. But from a non-biased perspective, what do you think of the situation with Ange and Tottenham?
I genuinely thought he was going to be sacked today. Like I thought I was going to wake up and go look at my phone, Comunicado Oficial, Big Ange has been sacked. I thought he's going to get sacked today. I was like, it's just written in the stars. He plays Man United the next game. They're out both cups now, so he can't sit there and go, you ain't winning the Europa League. I know you think you're going to win the Europa League, Jords, but you ain't winning the Europa League. Do you get what I'm saying? The League Cup, the League Cup was your only hope, really. And he's out both them cups now. He's what, 14th or 13th in the league or something? I don't even know. It's like he done 400 mil. I was like, I don't know why. This is what happens when you're a puppet to the owners. You get him all the time. Because if this was Mourinho, if Andrew was calling out Daniel Levy, he would have got sacked a long time ago. But now because he's a bit of a puppet, protecting the owners sort of thing, not calling them out. Do you get what I'm saying? I think that's why he's staying in the job a bit longer. I don't know what they're waiting for because the Europa League, I don't see how you win that, and I don't see how your league form gets much better. Like you might get top 10, maybe. Like
I mean, the league, I think for me is probably it's pretty much undone now. What do you guys think of it? Yeah, I suppose Ian, Eugene, just to bring it back to you guys, what are your expectations then? Like, well, I say expectations, it's a big word. I don't know if there's an expectation of much, but what is the acceptance of where Spurs will eventually finish? What do you guys? Where will we land?
I mean, to be honest, league, I don't care. I might even stop watching the games unless I see all the kids play. If I was Ange, I'd play all the kids. I want to see Mikey Moore. I want to see Archie Gray at the 6. Just bring in the academy, and at least that's something to look forward to. I mean, if we finish 15th or 11th or 10th, you sack Ange, you bring in Mason or whoever, we're going to finish 9th. It doesn't matter. Europe is going to be interesting. Again, I don't expect us to win anything like I did maybe a month ago, but league is done. It's just, I just want to see some progress from the kids. That's it. Otherwise, I'm just not going to watch. The worst thing for me is I'm telling you, like every single week, I have to explain to my son. He's like, Dad, why did you pick Tottenham? Why not a team that wins trophies? And I'm like, you know what? I made that bad choice a while back. It's Dempsey's fault. It is what it is. But every week he's like, Dad, why is Ange still there? Why are we losing again? After the Liverpool game, he was crying. I'm like that's the worst thing for me. So, we make kids cry. That's the club. That's what this club does.
Man, they're just out here ruining lives. They're ruining so many lives, man. Like I know them days. I was there, 2009 League Cup final. I thought we were gonna win. Them tears started rolling down when I see Ben Foster save like 3 penalties. I was like, what?
You can thank us for that.
Reserve goalkeeper saving all these penalties.
Well, listen, you lot won in 08, innit? You lot won in 08.
Yeah.
You beat Portsmouth now in the final.
No, we beat Chelsea in the final.
Chelsea.
Who did we were supposed to win it that year? Or did we lose the
You're
FA Cup?
Of FA Cup final in 2008. Portsmouth beat you.
Well, we lost it in it. Yeah, we bottled the treble.
Yeah.
Long day.
Yeah.
Long day. They done you man in, but I suppose where do you think where can we land this season? What's acceptable to you, even at this point?
I'm not gonna lie, bro. We haven't won in so long yet, like a proper game. You've had to go get a shape up, Jords. That's how long it's been. So like the Durag.
I fully haven't, I need to, but I haven't. Like,
the hairline was crooked before, bro. Like it's looking calm now.
When you brush it, it's looking all right. But in a couple of hours, it's gonna be flaking and them things. And when I'm stressed,
no wonder you had to stream now. You know what I'm saying, bro? before it reset, fam. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of this season, I don't even know, man. I don't have any expectations anymore. And as long as his goalkeeper's in goal, fam, I have no expectations of winning a game. But I'm gonna be real. If we stay up, it's a success at this point, bro. Because the fixtures on paper look bad, but of course, football's a game. Anyone can win at any time, and it's just, bro, this club brings me to tears sometimes, man. On the inside, and at this point on the outside, man, brings me to tears. So I'm done having expectations for the end of the season. I'm gonna just let it go.
I hear it. I think for me, like trying to have an expectation of where Spurs can finish and where Spurs can go is hard. We're literally just so down bad right now. I'm genuinely like, I'm flabbergasted. Bottom half of the table is anywhere acceptable? No, unless we finish in the top 8, and we might salvage something in there, which is practically impossible at this point. It wouldn't be acceptable to me. So no, I'm not going to be one of these people that check out and I'm going to say don't watch the games, because we got to support. We got to show our support in many ways. One way that we can show our support this weekend, change for Tottenham. People, if you can be there, make sure you're there. Protest outside the stadium before and after
I swear
the game.
You can't protest in the stadium. You're not allowed to protest. I swear at the
stadium.
So
it'll be outside.
You can protest outside the stadium, and inside the stadium, you just have more like silent protests. So I think they're organizing some stuff that way. But make sure you follow them, because that's one way we can fight back with these owners, because that ultimately is where we're dying right now. That ultimately is what's killing us. And yeah, man, it's tough. We got a question in the chat though from Phil. Big up to Phil. What happens first? Gray plays in the 6th league.
Well, he's not playing as a midfielder under this manager, so it is what it is, isn't it?
That's criminal. If you don't like,
blame Lange, fam.
If he spends on the bench,
wait, so is Van de Ven back?
Nah.
Nope. Hey, blame Lange for Archie playing as a right back.
If we play Hoyland, you could play Archie Gray. You have a comfy game. You have the best game of his life.
Oh, Hoyland's trash. Oh my god.
Yeah, if we play Hoyland,
Xerxes trash too.
Archie Gray had the field day. No, but Xerxes can at least control the ball, whereas Hoyland can't even.
At least he can pass it, bro. Like, bro,
what do you guys make of Ange's comments yesterday? Then after the game, because I suppose I can read them out for people that haven't seen them. But he pretty much says, look, people can judge me. They can say I've done a bad job. I'm not up to it or whatever. That's fine. What I'm saying is you can't be critical of players or player performances at this time, because if you do, then you do that of everyone else. Be as critical of other clubs when they've got 9. And he goes back to talking about the injuries, 9, 10 players, 11's out, all of that. They have to play every week. They've been doing it for 2-3 months, blah, blah, blah. He keeps talking about how the players are giving all they got. And that's how everything, apart from that, there's nothing else that's of interest to him. My responsibility at this football club is this group of players and this team to get them to play in the manner I want and to bring success. Whether people think I can do that or not, that's for others to judge. But there's got to be a better appreciation for what a very small group of players have been doing for the last 2.5 months. Pretty much goes on a bit more deflections on, on how the team's been playing with however many injuries. And then he goes on to say, yes, look, this is what got me. Do you think they can press like we would if we hadn't played Thursday night and I hadn't rotated the team? Do you think we wouldn't have been pressing aggressively today? Of course, they're not playing anywhere near the levels they want or we expect, but that's not because they're not trying. It's because they can't. Do you think that Ange is pretty much helping himself at this point because he's just continuously deflecting it onto the injuries? Do you think that there's probably a point of when he needs to start taking accountability and saying, the way I'm approaching these games isn't helping these players? Well, what do you?
I don't think he needs to publicly. Not publicly, because there's still a majority Ange in kind of voice, so he doesn't have to. But yeah, in terms of what he should do, yes, it's his fault for not rotating. Like the reason that the injury list is so high is because he doesn't rotate. Like we know that his style of play demands more than any other team in the league. We've seen it at other places he's managed that players have gotten injured. Like at Celtic, there were reports being written up while he was still manager. I went over this on stream. Like there's actual reports, like Scottish reporters writing reports about how Celtic now have no strikers because another player got injured, and the fact that Ange just said that he doesn't care if players get injured because he has a style of play and a philosophy, and he's okay with getting players injured in order to preserve his philosophy. Like, there's been articles that have come out as long as he's been at Celtic, and there's probably been articles maybe in Japan or Australia or whatever the hell. It's just because you're in the Premier League now, it's magnified on a global scale so people can judge you. But this has always been a thing with Ange. Like, he's never minded players getting injured as long as he can play his style of play. And as much as he hasn't rotated people, that's what we've gotten to this point in time. Players are getting injured. Players playing 4,000. Like, Kudus played 4,000 minutes. The man can't get a break to save his life, bro, because he can't get rested. He had to come on against Tamworth, bro. And whether that's a discredit to the other players on the pitch, the players are shit as well, innit? But that's just how it is, man. He don't rotate, so the players get injured, and now you've got a small squad to work with, and now they're on their last legs too, so it's long.
It's a good point you brought up regarding the minutes, because I've got a stat here just before you go, Eugene. Since November 22nd, Porro, Archie Gray, and Kulusevski have all played more than 1,700 minutes in all competitions. That's more than any outfield Premier League player in between that time.
I agree. Like,
he's just stubborn,
but
Andrew's just stubborn.
But like on the other hand, like, does the board do any research? They know, or they knew the way Ange played. They knew his style. But and at the same time, we're so thin, like, it makes no sense. The recruitment makes no sense. No cover for left back when you know the way Ange plays. We need some cover. There's no cover for center back. There's no cover for Son. So yes, it's an Ange, but he's stubborn. He's always played the same way. But if you're Lang or Man or whoever else, when you hire a manager, you need to understand the way he plays. And you need to understand we're going to be playing on 4 fronts, 4 competitions. You cannot leave the squad so thin. Like, so it's like it's on Ange, but it's also on the board. Like, leaving ourselves so thin, it's inexcusable. Even in January, I expected on January 1st for somebody to come in. We're in a relegation battle. Lenga had like 4 months to do his research. I know Ashmatic knows probably more than Lenga about who should be coming in, and does the scouting work. Like, it was shocking. Wasted the whole January with all the injuries and the relegation fight, and brought people in on the very last day or last couple of days. We didn't bring Danso in early to save 5 million. Like, what are we doing here? So it's on Ange for sure, but then you should know who you're hiring, and it's on the board not to bring in cover.
That's the thing here. That's the thing here, and I think I look at it and I'm like, I've given Ange a lot of leeway, because I've given him so much leeway, saying, do you know what? I don't feel like he's been helped by the board. I feel like the board let him down in January, because, like we said, I think 2 of the biggest games that for me probably turned a lot of the fan base on his back was those Everton and Leicester games. 2 games in the middle of January where we needed points. And if you just brought in 2 players in the Danso and Matisse Tell that we eventually got, or someone else in the front line, we would have probably beaten those teams. Because the biggest problem we had against Everton was the centre-backs were getting absolutely draped all over the place by Calvert-Lewin and Njayi. And then the game against Leicester, same thing. Like, the centre-backs and the midfielders just getting stretched because there's no chemistry back there. There's no players that actually know what they're doing. And Vardy and Al-Khamis end up getting the goals that they got. So I feel like Ange's obviously not been helped in that sense. But one thing that I feel like we can't ignore is the coaching aspect. I don't know if it's just Ange or if it's the people around him. It's Ryan Mason, it's Matt Wells, it's Mal Jedinak, all these people that are just far too inexperienced. But I don't know about you guys. I don't feel like any of our players are actually improving under Ange. Like, I'm not watching them and like, this guy Ange is making this guy blow. Every other manager can look like, barring Nuno, look at Conte's time and say, all right, Eric Dyer looked damn good for 6, 7, 8 months. Even Ben Davies did. You look at a Benton Core, he got the best out of some of these players. Kulusevski was flying still at the time. Like, there was a lot of players I felt like under Conte. I mean, Son and Kane, he took their game to the next level. Same with Mourinho. takes players' games to the next level. I'm looking at Ange and I'm just like, in these 18 months, I've seen a lot of players get worse. I mean, I've seen Romero get worse. I've seen Maddison get worse. I've seen Bentancur. To be fair, he's had injury for the majority of the time, but when he's been back, he's been very inconsistent. Basuma looks damn sure he looks worse under Ange. I've seen a lot of players just look worse under this management, and I'm just finding it hard to have any belief and trust in the fact that he's not behind a lot of these problems that we're having, and he's not the man that's causing some of these problems. I think
I don't think. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I don't think it's a coincidence either that some of our players that look the best, like as of right now, they haven't played as many minutes, bro. Like Jed Spence, I see Ashley in the chat. What about Spence? Bro, Spence was isolated. He frozen out the team for a year and a half. He's more fresh than anyone else, which is part of the reason why I feel like he's our best fullback. Like, I think when everyone's healthy, he's still our best fullback. But especially right now, the way he's basically our best player right now because he's a lot fresher than a lot of the players. Like what we're seeing from like Archie right now, for example. Of course, he's not a centre back, but Archie's played so many minutes, bro. Like, this is not his capabilities. Like, even if we put him in the 6 now, I don't even know if we see a good game from him. Not because he's not a good 6 or not because he can't play or develop, but because, bro, he's played how many minutes, bro? He's played every game for the last few months, basically, for us. And that's the point where we're at this point. Like, I'm going to be real. It's just like working a regular job, fam. Like, if you're working a full-time job, plus you have to clock in mandatory overtime, after a while, you're just not going to perform to the same level at your job, fam. Because football is a full-time job. It's not just you play a game and then you rest for 3 days and then maybe turn up for training one day and then you rest again and then you go play football. It's not like that. It's a full-time job. It's a strict job. It's like going out and just clocking in for 40 hours a week plus mandatory overtime. Your performance is going to go down and down and down until something happens. It's like any regular job, fam. So when I can't like Ashley, I don't even want to like buzz on you or nothing. But I don't know how old you are, but it sounds like you've never had a job in your life. I'm gonna be real. It sounds like you don't.
He just trolls every channel. So
it just sounds like you never had a job in your life, bro. Because people who work regular jobs don't have this mindset that you have, fam. Like, everything's always on the employees, bro. If you're working a full-time job, plus you're doing mandatory overtime, and you're working harder than every single other employee, because Tottenham's team work more, they press more, they run more than every other team in the Premier League. Plus, we were in 4 cup competitions. Now we're in 2, but we were in 4 competitions. Bro, at this point, yeah, you work for me is crazy. I ain't gonna lie, bro. You better not have a different skin. You know, have a different skin tone to me, because that's a crazy statement. I ain't gonna lie if you do, fam. You know what I'm saying?
Do you know what? Just you have to learn to ignore Ashley. He's one of the trolls that I don't know how he finds his way, but he's always in my chat. And if he's not in my chat, he's in my comments, and he's in my comments like he's in the chat because he does 5 replies to his own comments. Ashley's just one of these.
But it's like I respect Ashley's opinion, of course, but it's just like
that's why
when you start insulting people, it's just weird.
What did he say?
It's weird when you start insulting people, because like he disagreed with me and Jords in it. I'm like, that's fine, but then he started saying shit like you man are idiots, you know what I'm talking about. And then I started responding to him, and then I was like, it sounds like you never worked a job, and he's like, no, you work for me. Like, okay, bro. All right, loud that thing, bro.
Yeah, he's one of the guys.
Bro.
But allow all of that, Ashley. We're not here for any of that. We're here to just talk ball. If
we're not here for insults, man.
Trolling, please do the trolling elsewhere, especially when we're in a fragile place like we are right now. Spurs fans ain't good. We're not happy. We don't need your trolling session. And we're here chatting about, how we feel. Well, big up to Dave and his freezer talk, man. He finally found himself back asking about, has anyone got a freezer? Or has anyone checked?
Bro, he's been asking about freezer for like, 2 weeks now, bro? I saw him last time.
He's about watching like nearly a month ago, bro. And I was like, what? I was so bad about this freezer thing. Yeah, I didn't get it, but someone explained it to me, and I was like, okay.
But dude, you know what, George, I'll disagree with you a bit just to make this more fun about Ange making the players better. Look, when you're like a 27-year-old international, I don't think it's up to the manager necessarily to make you better. For example, Bissouma, like Romero, the silly mistakes that they've been making, I understand tactically and just poor. But when you're 18 years old, yes, a manager can make you better. But when you're 27, you should know better. Like, you should do better. Like, when Spence is on the right, we don't see that, as many gaps as when Parr was playing. Like, he's just out of position all the time. Is it tactical? Yeah, sure, but it's on him as well. Bissouma's passes, is it on Ange? Maybe, but it's on Bissouma as well. So I feel like, when you're a seasoned international player, you shouldn't be relying on a manager to make it better.
Don't you think, though, Eugene, when you look at, like I say, you take it back to a Mourinho days, your top-class manager like a Mourinho, he come in, looked at Kane and said, I'm going to take your game to the next level. Don't worry. And that's a guy that was already captain for his country, captain for the club, 27 or 26 years of age at the time. I feel like if you're a top-class manager, that's what you do. You identify players in your team and you identify their weaknesses and how you can impose yourself on that to make them better overall players. I just feel like when I look at Ange, I don't think he's done that to any player in our team. And do you know what? There's probably a case of he's signed a lot of young players. So naturally, we've not been able to see the difference in the progression that they make because they're naturally going to be getting better over time. But at the same time, I've not seen that in none of our senior players, barring Kulusevski, but I think Kulusevski already on that track. I don't think he's done anything to make Kulusevski better, but I know you got to head out, Touchline, so have your last say before you do head out.
Just before I go, score predictions for the game this weekend. If I don't catch you lot before, innit? So score predictions for the game this weekend.
Is it at Old Trafford or is it
No, Jords is going to say like 4. It's at Spurs Stadium, isn't it? That gives me more hope, by the way, because we're awful at home.
We're awful at home as well. Shit. I'll probably say a 2-1 United.
2-1 Spurs. United.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll be like, I think a 3-2 Spurs. I think there'll be a lot of goals, but I think Spurs score more than United. That's the thing we have over them. We can just score more than you. Plus,
we can score, George.
Huge boost.
Yeah, but we're better defensively than you, though.
I think United will shithouse a second goal.
We definitely are. We've got one of the best defenses in the league.
Since when?
No, they've always had that.
I'm gonna let you land. You can land that.
We've got about 9 clean sheets this season in the league, and we've probably got.
United's problem's always been that they can't score. To be honest,
we can't score. If we score goals, honestly, if we scored goals, we would keep so much clean sheets. The reason why we concede goals is because the game's 0-0 when they start pressing up and start pushing for the goal, and then they leave space in behind, and then the team. Or like the team just gives up, basically. If the team could score goals, I promise you, we would kill games so easily. And
if Kinski starts, it's over. They're winning. So, it is what it is.
Kinski, if you can combine Kings and Vicario into one, would have a world-class keeper. One can,
it's a shame.
Stop shots. Another one can distribute, but
I'm going 2-1. I might be 2-0 though. I reckon we could shut you lot out, but I don't know.
There's no way.
Depends. It depends, innit? We've got to hope Mazraoui or Saint locks up Son, because obviously if there's no Solanke, I'm not worried about.
Don't hope that's what's going to happen. Son is finished.
Kulusevski will be one player because Kulusevski can score from outside the box, innit? So that'll be one where
he hasn't even done that in ages,
the game. I'll be real. The game is very dependent on the lineups, who's available.
We're toothless, man.
Going into it, is there going to be any change? Who knows? Ange could still get sacked this week. Maybe they hire a new manager. Like, there's so many factors that could happen prior to the game between Monday and Sunday. So it's one of those ones. I think it's better to judge it closer to it. But right now, it generally could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if we draw with Man United. We're definitely not losing. United terrible. We ain't gonna lose to you, man. But a draw, I think that's worst case scenario.
Yeah.
We'll see, won't we?
There's no way we can lose.
Remember you said that though. Remember you said you was going to win as well. Yeah, you said that on midday live.
I did say that. Everyone's got the clip. Don't worry, they'll run that back.
We'll be there.
Yeah,
we will be there, people.
Listen, there's chest, but there's that 14th place chest. Do you get what I'm saying? And you've got 14th place chest,
and you've got 13th place chest. So I suppose it's very.
Yeah, but I've got trophies chest. Do you know what I'm saying? I've got trophies chest. Yeah, I can rock away with 2 trophies this season. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm not current holders of the FA Cup. I've been to 2 finals in a row. I've got an easy path to the final. Do you get what I'm saying? So let's go.
All right, we'll see. If you can do a double on FA Cup, big up to Touchline.
I don't think we will. I'm just saying we can do it.
We'll see. But make sure you guys show some love on his channel, YouTube, Touchline Facts. Yeah, man. Make sure you head over there. Plug yourself,
bro. Big up to the panel, man. Big up to the panel. Yeah, Touchline Facts on YouTube. Big up, man. I've got Saint coming with Hotspur Cave for the game.
Oh, big up Jay every time. Man.
Make sure, man. Big up Jay. You guys keep an eye out for their preview. And yeah, man. Big up Touchline, bro. We'll catch you. We'll catch you. Oh, crap.
Whoa.
Damn, I was gonna say, damn, it was my time over as well. Oh shit!
Nah. Just I tapped him out as soon as he tapped out as well. But back to it.
Man.
I mean, back to the Spurs stuff. It was nice and fun to talk about how shit United was for a second, but bringing it back home, of course. I suppose just going a bit left field. Who do you guys think can come in and give us something different right now? Or have you guys not identified? Because I think my biggest problem right now and why I took so long to get is because I struggle to identify any manager that's going to come to Spurs in this moment in time. In the summer, different question. Because in 3 months, managers leave teams. They're going to be more open speaking to clubs. But right now, I can't see anyone. So that's why I was pushing so long. I was like, do you know what? I might as well wait till the end of the season. But at the same time, we still have a competition to play for. You can still salvage something in the Europa League if a new manager comes in and has the right mentality to go and do so. Do you guys think there's anyone out there that can come in and improve Spurs?
No idea. I'm gonna be real. No idea. I'm gonna be real. I don't have a crystal ball in it. I don't go and see. Like I'll look at other managers, sure, but I'm just not good enough of a guy to scout people and see who could fit here, who could fit there. All I can do is look at who's currently employed, look at the players that are currently here, and be like, these men ain't good enough. I feel like, and this is why I put so much blame on Lange. Like, obviously, Ange and Levy have their faults, but I focus mainly on Lange because you're the guy that's supposed to be bringing in the talent. You're the guy that's supposed to be profiling, at bare minimum, profiling the right kind of people. And he's so shit, bro. So I have so much smoke for that guy, man, kind of that bozo. But yeah, all I can really do, because I just don't have the credentials and I don't have the patience to go and scout other managers, is just look at Tottenham, look who's employed by Tottenham. Are they good enough? Yes, no. If they're not, then time to go. If they are good enough, then they stay here, innit? But I don't know, basically. Long-winded answer.
Yeah, and like all the managers that people talk about, Silva, McKenna, Riola, Terzic. I mean, any manager who has any options potentially next season is not going to come here. Even in the summer, we have to settle for like fourth choice. Like Nuno was our eighth choice, Ange was fourth choice. So if we're struggling in the summer, there is no way we're gonna get any manager right now. So the time to sack Ange was in December, before the transfer window. But now, and it's funny too, like I've been begging on Mason for 3 years now, and I'll be in London for the first time in April with my son to watch a Spurs game, and it's gonna be Ron Mason on the touchline. And I'm just gonna have to make a sign, and like I'm just gonna go nuts. I'm gonna lose it. So it's karma. But honestly, and even in the summer, just as he mentioned, if you look at our transfers, the misprofiling, like Dragoshin, Johnson, even Madison, it's like if you bring in Ange, at least get the players that he needs to make his system work. And that's why, like, I don't believe that Ange was. I'm sure he signed off on the players, but if you look at our track record, he's definitely not the guy making the signing. So I wonder if we bring in Riola or Silva, we're going to be the same boat. They're going to come in, they're going to have a style, they're going to want certain players, and Lange or whoever else is going to bring him.
No, it is though, Eugene. I feel like with those managers in particular, I know Silva, that's one that I can point out and say, I've been watching his rise in the Premier League because he was at Watford a few years ago and then he moved to Fulham, and he picked up Fulham when after Scott Parker got that team relegated, and they had a very good team, but a lot of people looked at the team at first and said, "Rah, this team's rubbish" because Scott Parker got them relegated. But when you look back now and you look at all the players, they've still got half of the same squad performing right now. It's just got a proper coach in there, getting the best out of these players. And Anthony Robertson, who's now one of the best fullbacks in the league, that's with his coaching. Iwobi went from an average player at Everton to one of the top players, like playing in his position in the Premier League right now. Balling out. Andreas Pereira. You can look at Raul Jimenez is starting to find himself again, but not just him. They have the young guy Rodrigo Muniz who looks class as well. And I don't think this is a case of them identifying and bringing in his players per se. I think this is a case of a manager just getting the best out of the players that are there and coaching. And that's what I think Spurs miss. Ideally, because when we had when Poch first came in, he was a coach. He was on the pitch, on the training pitch, week in, day in, day out, putting in work, 2 sessions a day, and he's proper coaching these players. You're seeing all these players under him get England calls up, and he's actually making these players better. I think we need someone more like that rather than someone who's going to be a manager, because we've seen, man, Spurs just don't deal with managers. When you get a Conte and Mourinho in, it just doesn't work. We're not going to give them his players. They're always going to have to just work with the players that we're willing to give them. And right now, we're looking like I don't know if you guys saw. I saw. Oh, Spurs are interested for Tyler Diblin and Adam Wharton. So they want to improve the squad with more 18 and 19-year-olds.
Leonardo DiCaprio FC, bro. This is long,
bro.
Long.
Some Irish kid, some 16-year-old, right? Irish kid, I believe. I mean,
yeah, he can't play until 2026, I believe. 2026 January. But apparently he's supposed to be really good. He's supposed to be really good. They call him the next Liam Delap. And he was signed for like $1 million. So yeah, whatever you want to take from that, yeah, I suppose. But Spurs we always sign these academy kids that come to nothing.
Yeah. But look, George, a question for you. Like, the man. Oh, sorry. No, sorry. The managers that we talked about, like Ariel and like Silva, all those managers, don't you think sometimes the mid-table managers are good coaches for those teams, but when they make a step up, they're not as good? Just like some players, like with Bissouma on Brighton, he was good. For us, he's not. As you saw with, I feel like some coaches, there might be a ceiling when they deal with higher expectations and, players with egos and salaries and all that stuff. I feel like step up might be too big for some. So I think it's going to be tricky.
No, you're definitely right. I feel like a lot of managers struggle with the step up because, like you say, it comes from playing against open and expansive teams to finding space to behind to playing against a low block now. Now you need to come up with new solutions. And most importantly, you need players that can play against a low block. If you don't have players that create shots for themselves and, they can do things all by themselves without having to link play, then you're always going to have problems. But I think when I look at an Iraola and a Silva, I do think those are 2 managers that are primed to go somewhere at a top team. I just think that they're doing really good things. And Silva in particular, he's had many years of this. It's not like he just come into the Premier League. He's learned, he's come over time. Let me just make sure and check, because I'm pretty sure this is his 2nd or 3rd spell in the Premier League. And yeah, so he managed Everton even very briefly too. So this is 3rd spell in the Premier League where he's really had time to, settle in, figure out his way of playing and work out what's actually best to go forward. But at the same time, it's like you said, it could just be a case where it's working at his current team and he comes over to Spurs and it's not the same thing. So it's one of those ones. It's hard to actually go out there and bring a manager in that's going to be good with this squad of players. But yeah, man, for me, I think the only manager that I'd look at and be like, please make it happen is Xavi, man. Xavi, if we could offer him a 12 or 15 million a year, go and bring Xavi, because that's the guy who works with young players. What?
I mean, the managing Messi is different than managing Bissouma, or
But he didn't manage
Messi.
He didn't.
I thought
oh, that's right.
But I feel like that was even De Boer or someone. I feel like his time he managed the first year of Lamine Yamal. And
you're right.
He only left obviously back end of last year, so he was class. I feel like he won the league with them, and he loved using the young players. He brought all the young players like Paul Kubasi, Gavi, Pedri. He was the one that promoted all these from the young team, from the La Masia into the senior squad. And obviously, we know Barcelona's academy is a different level academy, but ultimately, he likes to work with young players. He likes to work with talents, and I think one thing more than anything, like when you got Ange Postecoglou, there's probably a little bit of that. Who is this guy? Like, yeah, he's a Tottenham manager, but Xavi, you respect Xavi as a young player. As a player, you don't talk to Xavi because Xavi's going to be. He's not only going to tell you what to do on the pitch, he will show you. If you need him to show you on the training pitch, oh, what you want me to? Yeah, I'll do the pass into the box. You guys can't do it. So I feel like that'd be my top number 1 pick, but it's a very unrealistic one. I don't think it will happen. I don't think he's going to want to come and ruin his career at Spurs. So it's one of those ones. I think we might have a very similar manager saga to what we did 2 years ago, which will be a fun summer for us as Spurs fans, you know, just getting rejected left, right, center, you know, same way as we did with players in the January. Teams are going to be rejected. Our managers are going to be rejecting us now. So, I know there's no way. I said, Jordan, no, just no. I don't want Xavi to ruin his reputation. Bro, you're a Spurs fan, G. We need to take what we can get. There is only one Xavi, though. There is only one Xavi. I know people are throwing out Xabi Alonso. I don't think Xabi Alonso will come Spurs. He's obviously proven that he's better than Spurs right now. By Leverkusen, they're doing big things. They're doing big things.
He might have a job at Real Madrid in a couple of years, bro. You know what I'm saying? He holds out. So.
Literally, he might have a job in Real Madrid in a couple of years. So I wouldn't expect him to leave. Final thoughts, though. I suppose just to end it on a bit more of a positive note. What did you guys think of Tell's performance? Well, I suppose you didn't watch the game, E. Did you see the Liverpool game?
I saw the Liverpool game, yeah, because I was at my cousin's and my uncle supports Liverpool, so I watched them lose, which was pretty nice, isn't it? So, yeah, well, I didn't watch the Tottenham game.
Fair.
No,
at least
good finish. Good finish.
Yeah, what do you think of it, Eugene? What do you think of his just performance?
It was. I thought he did well. It was funny too. You can tell that he's new. He was still enthusiastic, and he was like, "Hey guys, the press. Where's the press?" And then he's looking on his right and his left. Nobody's around. He's like, "Hey, like, what's going on? Why am I the only one? Who's pressing?" So I'm sure the club culture is gonna seep in a little bit, and he's gonna down tools as well. But as of now, it was a good finish. I didn't want us to spend 60 million on him because he's also a youngster. But on the other hand, an option is good. We'll see what he does. That was a quality finish, and if he proves himself, you know what? We'll see. Why not? I don't know if he's gonna want to stay, but that's a different story. But overall, you know what? Just start him on the left, right? He plays left and 9, so bench Sonny and start him on the left.
It's gonna be tough, innit? I feel like he's probably not gonna get to play off the left much, just especially because we had the Richarlison injury. I think Sonny's just literally non-existent when he plays in the 9, and then Solanke's not expected back till next month, so he might be forced to play in the 9. But even with that, I think if you have good wide options, they'll probably be able to create from, might be able to open up a bit more. But like you said there, great finish for the goal. I think he showed some, work ethic, and he wants to get on the ball. He wants to do things. It's just, I feel like probably the link-up play was missing with a few players, probably not knowing what the team is doing and still working out tactically how we play. He's still getting up to speed with that. So it's one of those ones where I think he could be a good player, but let's see how it plays out for the rest of the season. Because like you said there, I don't even know if he's going to want to be a Spurs player at the end of the year. I damn sure wouldn't know if I would want to be right now, because 14th place, coming into this situation, the manager doesn't look like he could 100% be staying. Like, it's a lot of uncertainties, and for him to be like, yeah, I'm gonna stay here and fight, I don't know. He can go back to Bayern and orchestrate a move to a bigger club, which will help him out, especially if he has a few good performances for Spurs. So yeah, man. But look, big up to you guys for coming in. It's been a good show. I'm definitely going to get these call-in shows going a bit more often. It's just been delaying. That's all it is, people. I'm just a bit lazy sometimes, and it's hard with Spurs. it's hard with Spurs. So yeah, no, big up Eugene for coming on, man. It's hard. He knows. Big up for Eugene coming on. Big up E. Make sure you guys go follow E, man. He's on the road to 1K. He's real close. I think it's like 150 or so. Last time I checked.
Yeah, I'm at like 820, so I'm like 180 away. I'll be there soon.
Yeah, so 180 there. So make sure you guys show some love on E's channel. He did say he's gonna take a break, but I know he won't. He's gonna be back with a few videos this week. Don't worry about that. He'll be back. So you guys show some love on the channel. And yeah, man, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to Durag Diaries over here. We're on the road to 2K. Help us. We're trying.
Yes, sir.
Spurs is trying. It's clearly not enough. But big up to everyone that's been inside. And last thing from Jay, what did you say? Seriously, guys, what happened to us? We used to be Brighton before Brighton and discover unknown players that turned out amazing. Yeah, man, we used to be, but we've come a very long way. A very long way. And